welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne, and I am the Learner Lawyer. Now, there has been something that's happened overnight. I found this out yesterday, and I couldn't believe it initially. I didn't think it was true, but apparently it is true. So, something happened. It's been revealed that former Prime Minister Scott Morrison did something that nobody can believe. So let's have a look at this. Now it says Scott Morrison defends secret ministry power grab, does not dispute also taking control of secret social services. It says Prime Minister, he's former minister, first of all, ABC. But former Prime Minister Scott Morrison has defended his extraordinary move to jointly appoint himself several ministries in secret, including health, finance, and resources portfolio. Mr. Morrison said he did not dispute claims he took joint power over a fourth ministry, the social services portfolio, in June 2021 during the COVID pandemic. I don't recall that. I don't dispute that. And my answer, hello, Plan to Create. Plan to Create says he's as bad as Bruz. Yes, it would seem that way. My answer for all of that is the same. We were dealing with an incredible amount of discretion and money being paid, Mr. Morrison told Sydney Radio 2GB. They were unprecedented times, and as a result, were very unconventional times. Fortunately, none of these appointments, in the case of finance and the health portfolio, were ever required to be used. Mr. Morrison apologised to his former finance minister, Matthias Cormann, for keeping the move secret from him, saying he assumed the decision had been passed on to his office. So not only did he grab all of these portfolios, he didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew. So the finance minister didn't know that he was sharing the portfolio with the Prime Minister. Same with health. Look, I could understand, I guess I could understand the health portfolio, because what if the health minister got sick or something happened to the health minister? But then you'd have a junior minister, I guess. You have somebody that could take over. But finance, the former Prime Minister said he appointed himself as a backup to other ministers at the height of COVID-19 pandemic as a safeguard. As a safeguard and a redundancy. But Mr. Morrison also admitted he took control of the resources portfolio in 2021 to overrule then Minister Keith Pitt to block a petroleum exploration license off the New South Wales coast. He acknowledged that decision had nothing to do with the pandemic. That was a very different issue. It is one I sought to be the decision maker on that issue because of the importance of that issue. So he became ministers, so he was able to overrule the joint minister. Bizarre. I always respected Keith's role as the decision maker, and if I wanted to be the decision maker, I had to take the steps I took. So he didn't like the decision. So the Nationals leader doesn't know if the former Prime Minister also shadowed his job. Albany, the current Prime Minister, says there may be more in the secret ministries. So there could be more. The ministers were continuing to run their portfolios without any interference, Morrison said. Apparently he's apologised to Matthias Cormann. The Nationals leader, David Littleproud, told News Breakfast this morning it is important that Scott Morrison gives an explanation which would provide clarity around the decisions he made around signing himself into 3 portfolios. I think he owes the office of Prime Minister and the exalted position we have in this country to reflect and actually give an explanation to clear this up and give clarity. When Arts, the former Prime Minister, swore himself as Agriculture Minister alongside Mr. Littleproud, who replied, "I can't tell you that, but I presume not. I hope not." So that's the thing. They don't know what else he's got. So current Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has actually launched an investigation into this. And I think, for me, the most... the bit that's really got me baffled is that the Governor-General knew this and approved it all. And now the Governor-General is the Queen's representative, because we are she is our head of state under the monarchy. And so because, she's not here, we have a Governor-General who is her representative. The fact the Queen's representative allowed this to happen, I think, has more questions as well. The PM Albanese told RN's Patricia Carvallis that Scott Morrison started this unprecedented action and he didn't intend to pass judgment on the Governor-General's role, adding, "There are checks and balances in our system and they've been deliberately undermined. What is clear, though, is that we have the capacity and need to get to the bottom of this, and Australians are entitled to know what is going on." There may well be more, but I'll have more to say when I'm properly briefed. The Governor-General acted on advice of the day. Scott Morrison was running a shadow government and not telling the Australian people what it was about. So this is Mr. Turnbull, for Prime Minister Mr. Turnbull, on this matter. Now, remember, there's no love between Scott Morrison and Malcolm Turnbull, because Scott Morrison rolled. We call it rolled. He did a leadership coup and rolled Turnbull. But former PM Malcolm Turnbull said Scott Morrison's secret ministerial appointments are one of the most appalling things he's ever heard in politics. So let's have a look. Let's have a watch. I haven't seen it yet, so let's have a look.
Former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has thrown his support behind a voice to Parliament, declaring he'll vote yes when a referendum is held. His intervention is notable because when he was...
All right, I'm not...
reflected on it, obviously. I still believe it will make a very big change. It's not a solid change. It's not...
Words advisedly.
Yeah, it's definitely a very big change. It is... That was the Cabinet's view.
But it was your view too.
It was my view too, absolutely.
Yes. So what's changed in your reflection?
Well, I think the term third chamber is an unhelpful one because, as I said, it's apt to confuse.
Space of time. Was it the eloquence at Garber that changed?
So they're talking about changing
the This is a big issue. This is the biggest change to our constitution.
So they're talking about changing the constitution.
I think now it's winnable.
Yes.
But I say that...
Even Albanese, who used the term tin pot, you're saying it's sinister.
It is.
Oh, here we go.
No, I think this is one of the most appalling...
Let's have a listen to this.
Democracy can handle it, but it will be a big change.
You still have misgivings about it. We don't have time to go into all of them. You said it's going to be a wild ride.
It could be a wild ride, yeah.
But how important is
politics is a wild ride,
yes,
believe me.
How important, you use those words advisedly again,
Yeah.
How important is it that it succeeds?
It's very important that the referendum succeeds, and I was...
So we're going to have, there's talk of a referendum to change the constitution to give recognition to our First Nations people. So that's what he's talking about here.
Not successful referendums. At the time in 2017, we all...
Because to change the constitution, we need a referendum.
Thought it had not a snowball's chance in hell. We thought it was doomed to catastrophic defeat. I think now it's winnable,
yes.
But I say that with great trepidation.
All right.
Because there's a lot of work to be done.
And I'm sorry that we have to tackle two things today because it is very important, but these are extraordinary revelations about the former Prime Minister.
Here we go.
Morrison. Let me just be clear, did you ever take on secret roles yourself in the government?
No, I think this is one of the most appalling things I've ever heard in our federal government. The idea that the Prime Minister, who is the head of state, would take on secret roles. I think this is one of the most appalling things I've ever heard in our federal government. The idea that the Prime Minister, who is the head of state, would take on secret roles. I think this is one of the most appalling things I've ever heard in our federal government. The idea that a Prime Minister would be sworn in to other ministries secretly is incredible. I'm astonished that Morrison thought he could do it. I'm astonished.
I'm interested that he says Morrison. He doesn't say Mr. Morrison because, as I said, I don't think there's any love lost between them, and I don't think that there's much respect between them. But it is astonishing. It is very astonishing.
The Prime Minister and Cabinet went along with it. That's the department. And I'm even more astonished that the Governor-General was party to it. I mean, this is sinister stuff.
Sinister. He calls it sinister. Sinister. It is pretty... it's pretty sinister when you think about it. So it meant that if anybody made a decision in those portfolios he didn't like, he would be able to overrule, as he did with the one of the other portfolios.
This is secret government. I mean, what Albanese said today about it is absolutely right. This is the sort of thing that it's not something we associate with our form of democracy.
You're actually going further in the way than Albanese, who used the term tin pot. You're saying it's sinister.
It is sinister. It is very sinister because it is secret. I mean, it's unusual and unprecedented enough for a Prime Minister to be sworn into another department, other than his own. But I mean, you can do it obviously if the minister is away. I was sworn in as Minister for Agriculture and Horses when Barnaby was out of act for a few months.
So there you go. So it can happen where somebody is sworn in if a minister is out of action for a while. So that isn't the point. The point is nobody knew about it.
Presumably everyone knew about that.
Totally. I was sworn in. There was a press release. Yes, it was completely above board. But doing things in this secret way, I mean, look, what's democracy about? I mean, fundamentally, the people are entitled to know who is governing our country. We need to know who's the minister for this, who's the minister for that. And if, in fact, these things are all being done secretly, that's not a democracy. This flies in the face.
So there are questions about the Governor-General, but first of all on Scott Morrison, do you understand why he did this? There might be an explanation around health, but when it comes to finance and the other ministries, you know him very well. You served with him. You've had...
I love that reaction. You know him very well. Yeah, I do.
There are questions about the Governor-General, but first of all on Scott Morrison, do you understand why he did this? There might be an explanation around health, but when it comes to finance and the other ministries, you know him very well. You served with him. You've had complicated relationships with him, but why do you think he did it?
Well, I mean, that's a psychological explanation. I mean, because to be honest, I can't understand it. Because let's assume
a psychological. I don't know that there is. I don't know. It's interesting how he's very
Prime Minister, and I know what it's like to be Prime Minister. You felt that you needed to have the...
Scott Morrison, do you and why he did this? There might be an explanation around health, but when it comes to finance and the other ministries, you know him very well. You served with him. You've had complicated relationships with him, but why do you think he did it?
Well, I mean, that's a psychological explanation. Because to be honest, I can't understand it. Because let's assume as Prime Minister, and I know what it's like to be Prime Minister, you felt that you needed to have the discretions and authorities of the Health Minister or the Finance Minister. Well, then you should do it openly. You should be sworn to those portfolios and then explain why you want to do it. But to do it secretly in a way that the public don't know about it and your cabinet colleagues don't know about it is incredible. I mean, this is not... Scott was meant to be leading a centre-right conservative government. This is not conservative. This is throwing aside all of the traditions of Westminster parliamentary democracy.
Interesting, isn't it? So we're going to see if we've got Dutton's response.
A long story. Thank you very much for your company.
So that was former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. So I'm going to see if I can find the current opposition leader's response, because he said that he didn't know. And that, to me, is also scary. So here we go. There's a big timeline here as well. So the federal government technically has sought legal advice. It would seem that the only person that knew happened to be the Attorney General at the time. Who was it? Christian Porter. So it says, Peter Dutton, opposition leader Peter Dutton, was just on ABC radio and was pushed on whether or not it was the right decision by former PM Scott Morrison to keep the secret ministries he'd taken on. Dutton stood for him, refusing to budge on his position that it was a matter for the then Prime Minister and refused to give a moral reading of the situation. Obviously, the then Prime Minister had his reasons, his logic for it, but it was not a decision I was party of or was aware of. It was a decision-making process that he's made. The only point I'd make is at the start of COVID, I was in this category. I was an early adopter of COVID. I came back from the US and tested positive. It was mandated that I was being admitted to hospital. And so I suspect some of Scott's logic at the time was and this was at the time, obviously, when there was no vaccine and people were having all sorts of Armageddon scenarios. The briefings were pretty confronting when we first got them. No doubt all this fits in his logic, but I wasn't part of that decision-making process. Are they decisions like any government that are within the domain of the Prime Minister of the day? It's an issue for the then Prime Minister, as it is for this Prime Minister. I'm pretty sure that Anthony Albanese doesn't discuss with the whole backbench and ministry and the caucus who it was that he's appointed to different portfolios. I wasn't a decision maker then. I don't know. Then there was some sparring, backwards and forwards. He said he also was back in the current. I wasn't consulted, wasn't part of the decision-making process. I've read about it in the paper. And the leader of the Liberal Party, we had an election in May this year. We had a new government elected, and I can tell you, around kitchen tables tonight, people are talking about how they're going to pay their power bill, how they're going to balance their budget. The Governor-General has issued a statement today, and he's a person for whom I have the utmost respect, and he's explained his position, his understanding of the law and the Constitution. I have no doubt he acted appropriately. So this is Rex Patrick. So this is a letter that's been written to Freedom of Information. So we've got constitutional law expert, says former PM secret portfolio is just bizarre. So now it's going to look at whether it was constitutional. You can make changes to the administrative arrangements orders, which is part of. So this is what she says. This is constitutional law expert said this. Oh, well, look, frankly, it's quite bizarre. The secretness of it is the weird thing. I mean, it's not strange that Morrison might want to have a second person to be able to take over if the first person was incapacitated, etc. But there are ways of doing that anyway. And ordinarily, if you do something like that, the basic rules are you announce it to Parliament because Parliament needs to know who is responsible. Also, you can just make changes to the administrative arrangements order, which is the other way of doing it. So it's a way of saying, okay, in relation to the Biosecurity Act, the Minister for Agriculture can seize power and the Minister for Health can seize other powers. You can change that by just going to the Governor-General and having a council meeting saying, yes, the Prime Minister can also exercise those powers. I went through every single administrative arrangement order this morning and it's not there. So what on earth is going on? I don't know. But the secrecy involved in this is just bizarre. I mean, you just wonder what is wrong with these people that they have to do everything in secret. They can't fess up to what they're doing. Because if they had done it and made it public, probably would have seen it as pretty reasonable for people. But hiding it, that's weird. That's the problem I think that most people have got issues with, is the fact that it was all done in secret. And don't forget, had the power. So just show you this. This is also from The Guardian. Says Anthony Albanese seeking legal advice on former PM Scott Morrison's reportedly secretly swearing himself in. A spokesman for Governor General David Hurley said Hurley had appointed former Prime Minister to administer other portfolios, and such appointments do not require a swearing-in ceremony. New South Wales Treasurer Matt Keane said former Deputy Premier John Barilaro's appointment to a $500,000 trade role in New York should be scrutinised. So, yes, it's interesting that it's saying, yes, he should be scrutinised. He's been scrutinised, but at the moment, he's not appearing. Interestingly, I don't know, I posted a video yesterday, and it was a Simpsons parody of the Barilaro saga, and it was funny. The thing is, all of these investigations cost money, and I just don't know what he was doing. I just don't know. I just don't know what. It's funny because people were saying he was a bit of a narcissist, and he's sort of showing that, isn't he? I don't know. So I want to show you this. Now I'm going to post this link in here, and I want you to go watch it. We're going to go watch it in a minute. We're going to watch it. So here's the link. We're just moving on to Mr. Barilaro for a minute. This is hilarious if you haven't seen it. I'm going to finish this one shortly and then come back. We're going to do a Katie Joy one. So this is a minute 27.
Wow, you are dodgy.
Can you name the schmuck who rorts and lies? Plays the victim with tears in his eyes. Barilaro, Barilaro. From the friendly Geordie's videos, we can easily see who's on the nose. Barilaro, Barilaro. Hey! The fixated persons unit has ruled the Barilaro unsafe for YouTube journalism or jokes. New York job, Johnny applied. The other candidates all pushed to the side. Barilaro, Barilaro.
I'm the victim out of that.
He blindsided Verity, Ayers, and Keane. He's a barrel pork and government destroying machine. Barilaro. Barilaro.
The trauma I've gone through the last 6-7 weeks has been significant. If I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have walked into what was a shit show.
Yeah, so there you go. I want you to go and give that guy, go watch it and give him a like, because that was hilarious. I have been singing Barilaro. That was pretty good. Oh, he's got a few. He's actually got a few of them. He obviously. Oh, look, I've got to watch this one. I didn't realize what he had on his channel. I'm going to have to subscribe now, just because I can. All right, so have a look at this one.
And no wonder Mr. Porter never actually introduced the Anti-Corruption Commission that was promised by Scott Morrison more than 1,000 days ago.
I love to have a beer with Christian. I love to have a beer with Chris. He might just be a rapist, but I really don't give two shits. He picked up a dodgy million, but I won't investigate. I'm happy to protect old Porter, cause Porter's me mate. I love to have a beer with Ryan Houston, cause he's a wholesome Hillsong lad that's resigned for misbehaviour. And he covered up offences by his ex-best dad. I wanted him at the White House, cause theocracy is great. I love to say a prayer with Brian, cause Brian's me mate. that I haven't seen for about 15 years. I love to have a beer with Raymond.
Hey, yeah.
I love to have a beer with Ray. He's whinging about the pension,
Everything.
and I'm looking for an exit just to get away. We drink at the Edgeworth Tavern,
Hey.
where the atmosphere is
Oh, Pasco.
I love to have a beer with Raymond.
Security code red. Kids got away from the public.
I love to break a deal with Macron. I love to SMS with Mac. The friendship spin torpedo. Guess he should have learned from Malcolm to watch his back. Billions went down the Gerber. That's a lot to contemplate. I love to break a deal with Macron, cause Macron's not returning my calls. Key change. Oh, I love to be a stooge for Rupert. I love to be a drip for Rupert. My favourite tax avoider, cause his journos all defend me when I'm in the... And now I can run the country till it's my expiry date. I love to be a stooge for Murdoch, cause Murdoch's my promoter, defender, supporter, protector, advisor, saviour, sugar daddy, and father.
Let's see what else this guy's got. He obviously does these parodies. But anyway. So yeah, so I'm wondering what's going to happen. I wonder what's going to happen now with Morrison, because it's going to, he's got some good stuff on here too. Wow. So this is his YouTube channel. Vote him out. Trust the PMO. Hallelujah, he's got to go. Google it, mate. Squanderer. Rats for free. So anyway, there's a whole pile of blame. Oh dear. So he's just done these parodies. Trump death clock. Bye-bye, Trump. Is that like, bye-bye, Trump? Aloha, Scott. Nobody loves you when you're voted out. A COVID blessing. I've called everywhere. A song parody. Let's have a look at another one. Bye-bye, Slack Turd. Okay, a song parody. Have a look at this one.
Anthony Albanese will be the Prime Minister of Australia. And not myself.
Oh, it's just, my computer's just died.
All your things and go, snotty mo, dodgy bro, bye, bye, slacker. No more PM forcing me, sewage stinks, so does he. Bye, bye, slacker. Now I'll watch the news without it muted. We're all celebrating now you're booted. Roses cheering in the lights. Liberal heads roll tonight. Slacker. Bye-bye. See you later. Ta-ta. Bye-bye now. So long. Arrivederci. Giordania. Adios. Sayonara. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. For your things and go. LMP. Love this show. Bye, 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 bye. Slacker. No more smirking on TV. Welcome in, Anthony. Bye, bye.
So there you go. So there's a whole pile of parody videos. So I came across that. That was the Simpsons, the Barillaro one that really got me to that channel. So make sure you check him out and give him a like. So anyway, that is everything that I've got on Scomo. It's pretty shocking revelations, as I said, that he secretly, I think it's just the secret stuff. I think it's the fact it was all secretly that was, and he makes Barillaro, in my opinion, look like an angel. So, which is saying something. The other thing is, while we're just on Barillaro, I don't think he'll be back before the inquiry. I'd be very surprised that he's going to be back before the inquiry, because he's taken there's a whole lot of heat at the moment, and we know he doesn't like scrutiny. So it'll be very interesting as to what he does now, and what happens with the committee now. They'll still keep going, but there's lots of questions to be answered, as we've discovered. But anyway, I think they're due to meet again tomorrow. I know that there was an order set out. There was a few more people that they wanted to investigate, but with his own former, colleague coming out and saying that there are questions to be answered, we know that there's a problem. Anyway, I'm going to head off now, and thank you for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. I'm really appreciate all your support. So as I said, all that I earn on the channel goes towards the equipment. My video camera did break, so I'm actually using my Mac camera, which is okay. It's okay. So yeah. So anyway, thank you for all your help, and make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I'll be back shortly, and we're going to do a Katie Joy video. Bye for now.